our fourth in our EUMETSAT data services monthly webinars. So there were, for those of you who may have attended before, there were 3 sessions last year on various facets of the data services. And today will be our fourth one, and we'll concentrate on our new data access client. The purpose of these sessions is mainly to give you an overview of the developments that we are actually engaging in and bringing online at EUMETSAT, either in terms of the services and how to use them or tools we've developed to help you use them. And also to give you an opportunity to ask about data services in general. And by data services, I mean our data store, our data tailor, and the new EUMETView platform. Give you an opportunity to ask questions you have about them, or to give us feedback if you've used them already, or to make suggestions as to improvements that we can make. So my name is Ben Loveday. I work in the training team at EUMETSAT. Your usual chair would be Pablo Benedicto. Unfortunately, he's not so well today, so I've stepped in to take over from him. I will not be doing the demonstration. The demonstration will be done by my colleague, Nicholas Jordan, who I'll pass you over to in a moment. Before I do so, I'd just like to point out the message that our colleague Regina has just put in the chat. We have a Slido event, or a Slido poll associated with this event, which we'd encourage you to use. There is a poll where you can tell us a bit about how you use our services or how you plan to use our services. And there is an open Q&A, which we'll come to at the end, which is your opportunity to leave any questions you want us to answer, which we will deal with live towards the end of this session. So the session will be dealt with in 2 parts. There'll be the demonstration from Nicholas, and then we'll deal with the Q&A once Nicholas has closed. So without me taking up any further time, I will pass you over to Nicholas and he will begin his demonstration. Thanks.
Yes, thanks, Ben, for the introduction, and also from me, a very warm welcome. Thanks for joining. And like Ben said, we are really happy. We are really appreciate to show you today our latest developments on our newest software. Like Ben said, it's a Python client, EUMDAC, we call it, EUMETSAT Data Access Client. And the coolest thing is that when you are using EUMETSAT data services on a daily basis, on a regular basis, it could be a real game changer for your daily work. You will see what I mean in a minute. Yeah, so of course, we have, like all our services and software, we have made up documentation for it. For all who are new to our services, let me share my screen and I show you how you can access our documentation for all the services and also for our newest project, the EUMDAC client. So it's very easy to get into there. Just go to satellites and how to access our data. It's our small introduction page for new users on how to use our data and our services. So it takes a minute. Scroll down and there you can find this teaser data access services knowledge base. And when you are in there, you can find all the information for all our data services, like the data store, the data tailor, EUMETView, and all the other projects and products we have. And unfortunately, for now, we don't have published the client for now, but as soon as we published it, you can find here a new shortcut for the EUMETSAT data access client, and that will point you to this very nice page where you can find all the information for this client, how to use it. You can see here how to install it. You will be able to install it through PyPy or through Conda and also through Source. And one of the coolest things is that we have also built a standalone binary, a standalone application. So if you are not able to install anything on your computer because of IT restrictions, then you will also able to use this client, yeah, as a standalone client. You don't have to install anything. Then, of course, it's a Python client. So we have 2 main aspects how you can use this client. You can use it in Python scripts or in Jupyter notebooks through importing the package EUMDAC. and can magical stuff in it. I will show you in a minute what exactly you can do. And the second option you have is you can use it as a command line interface. So when you are not so familiar with Python and Python scripting or Jupyter notebooks, you just can use your terminal and use the command line interface from it. It sounds very complicated and technical, but it isn't. I promised I will show you also in a minute. And here we have all the commands you can use in the command line interface. For the Python library, of course, we have training materials that are Jupyter notebooks. You can easily download and run through it. We have in a very big detail here how EUMETSAT is working with our services, how you can use it with examples, so you can try it on your own. Let me say one point through the limitation. That is the very first version, and you are the very first audience we can show off to. So we are very happy about it, but it's the very first version. So we don't fully support all our services for now. In the very first version, you will be able to browsing, searching, and downloading through the data store APIs through the Python library, and also tailoring and processing data through the data tailor API. For the CLI, the functionality is at the moment limited to the data store API, so you can browsing, searching, and downloading data, but you can't tailoring data through the data tailor. But we also have here a little roadmap under releases. That is a point where you can see in the future the latest release and also the releases before them, and also a small roadmap where you can see when we plan to bring the second version out in the second quarter this year. And there will be full support for the data tailor API and CLI. So when you will be able to install it from your own, from PyPy, from the source, from downloading our standalone binaries or through Conda, we plan to release this first version for next week or the week after. So it's very, very soon you will be able to use it, and you will get a notification through the UNS from EUMETSAT, and we are also publishing in news and Twitter, and there you can get the information from. So let's start with the first part. Let's start with the command line interface. So the command line interface sounds at the first impression maybe a bit technical and a bit complicated when you are not so familiar with terminals, but it's very easy to use it. So when we are installed on EUMETSAT, or we are using our standalone application, you will be able to do exactly the same with the standalone binaries without installing everything. Then you can type EUMETSAT. So it's the call to open our command line interface, and then for the first time, maybe we type -h. -h is the command for the help. So you are on every step able to get help when you need it. So when we say EUMETSAT -h, we will get a simple help which tell us what we can do now. So we can use the describe for describe a collection or product. We can search for products. We can, of course, downloading products. That are the main features. But before we can do that, we should set our credentials to authenticate with our APIs. So for the first, we have to type set credentials, and then we are just copying our consumer key at the first and on our consumer secret on the second argument, and press enter. That's everything. Then the file is created with the credentials on your computer, and you don't have to make it on every call. You just have it make it just to make it once. Of course, I does it already, so I don't hit the enter test key. Sorry. So now let's check which collections we could use. So for this, we just have to type EUMDAC and describe. Then we will get an overview, a list with all collections we can use. Please remember that the list you can see here is depending on the license you have for the data store. So all the collections you can see in the data store, graphical user interface, you will also be able to see it here. So now let's get some more information about one of the collections. For that, we just type again. So to describing a collection and get more information about it, we just use our call EUMDAC describe, and then we say we want to describe a collection and just paste the collection ID to it, press enter, and we will get some more information about the collection, the full name, the availability of the data, the abstract, and at least the license. So what we can do now, also search for products, of course, in this collection. For this, we don't use the describe keyword, because describe always means we want a description, more information on something, but now we want to search for products in this collection. So we just call our clients EUMDAC, say search for products, in which collection we want to search. I will take the rapid service scan, and then we just have the latest collection. As you can see, we have a lot of products because we don't limit it to an area or to a specific time range. So by default, we will get only the latest 10 products. When we want to have more, we just can force this default by the limit argument. So we just can say limit and then say maybe 1, and then we will get the latest product from this collection, but we can also say 100, and we would get 100. Of course, you can also say, give me all the products, but in this case, it's too much to show it here. Yeah, that's the limit. We just use it to don't trash your terminal, and yeah. So what we can do now is we don't want to copy every single product ID and yeah, start a download. So in this case, we want to save everything in a file, for example, the products.txt, and then we just can press enter. And what you can see now is that we have, oh no, it's don't work for now. So let me check. And then, okay, we will get some product from it, and now we can say products.txt, and these products, then these product IDs will be saved in a text file. Here you can see the text file was created. When we open it, you can see all the product IDs we saw here in the terminal are saved in this text file. Why we should do that? Of course, like I said, we don't want to download every single file, so we want to download a bunch of files. When we want to downloading now the files, we just say EUMDAC download, very descriptive, So say C for the collection we want to download the data from. And now we have to say, okay, we want to say specific, we want to download specific products. And that's the -P. Now we could say we copy a single product ID and press enter, and this product will be downloaded to our directory. So you can see here the download started, and here is the product. But it's very complicated if you want to have much more files. So that's why we are printed everything in this product products.txt. And now we can see, say, we want to download the collection from the collection, the products from products.txt. And what happens now? Every product ID from this products.txt will now be downloaded to our directory. So I will break it now, and here you can see all the products are downloaded from our txt file. So, but it's very easy to download simple products, but what it's much more interesting is on how to find the right products. So what we want to do now is we say EUMDAC search for products from a specific collection. We take same for. Now we can set additional filtering keywords. For example, we can set a start sending date, for example, 2021, 12/31, and an end date of 2022. And the 1st of January. So we will get the data from the last day of the last year and the first day of this year. And now we can just press enter. And we will only get the files. You can see it here. It's only 288 products now from this specific time range. You have much more options to filtering data. You can find all the filtering stuff and the comments and the keywords and arguments here in this list. Here you can see the describe. So we use the collection and the product. You can see here the search with the start and the end date. You can set a bounding box or geometry for area of interest. You can filtering by satellites and sorting the results. So you have always here some examples. You can also search for specific file patterns to download just the native files and not all the files in the product, for example. So, and the second part you can use this package is the library. And for the library, we prepared some notebooks. You can also find much more extensive notebooks here in the example area for discovering collections, filtering products, downloading products, and also for the data tailor to use the data tailor with EUMDAC. So first of all, of course, again, we have to authenticate. No, that's not right. First of all, of course, we have to import our package we installed before, like I said, through pip, through the source or conda. Then we don't need them. They are not necessary to use EUMDAC, but I use some packages in this example, so we have to import them too. And then we have the part we have to authenticate with. When you are using currently our APIs, you know that it's yeah, it's tricky to get the token, and you're not so familiar with Python. It's maybe a very hard case, because you will post an request to our API or token API, and we'll get the valid token back, and the date until when the token is valid. So with EUMDAC will take completely care about this process. So you don't have to manually set any tokens or whatever. You just have to put your consumer key and consumer secret into these quotes, say that these are your credentials, and then we provide you with a functionality in our library called access token, where you give your credentials to, and then it will generate automatically a token. Of course, I don't want to paste a publicly my consumer key and secret here, so I use the second functionality to hide them, but it looks exactly the same. And now we can say, just to check it, give me a token and when it's expired. And here you can see the token and the expiration date and time. And the best is when you are now using EUMDAC for the next, for downloading stuff or for tailoring stuff, you don't have always to be careful with the expiration of the token and generate a new one. So EUMDAC will completely do all the magic with the token. You can see it here. First, when we want to interact with the data store API, we have to initialize the data store. And for this, we have also built up a class where you give the token to. And every time you send a request to our API through EUMDAC, it will check if the token is valid or not. And if not, it generates a new one, but you didn't get any notice about it. It just do all the thing under their hood. So now let's check which collections we can use. That's completely similar to the call in the CLI we use to EUMDAC describe to get all the collections. In this case, in the library, we say data store and collections, and we will get all the collections. And that's a different case when you are using our API now in with your own scripts without a library. We now have all the collections, all the products as objects. So in this case, a collection is a class. We just can say that we want to get a specific collection as our selected collection, and then we can take a look under the hood of the class. Soon. So first of all, let's check some information about the collection. For example, the collection have different attributes in the class. For example, the title or the abstract. Of course, also the sensing time. And when we say now we want to have the latest product of the collection, we can just say from our selected collection, we select here above, we say search, and we want to have the first item, and the first item is also the latest item, and then we will get back the object for the specific product. And as I said, now all of these stuff that comes back from our library from requests are objects. We have a lot of attributions and variables we can use. As you can see here, for products, for example, we have the collection you can get from, we have the entries you can get from the instrument, metadata, the satellite, and some other stuff. And to get access to this attributes now, we just can say latest dot sensing start, for example, and we will get the sensing start. Let me show you how it looks like. Here you can see now the sending start and sending end. We will get here from this line. And for example, the entries, here you can see now we have a metadata, XML manifest, and of course the native file. So, and with everything what we do now is with much less code than when you do it directly through your own wrapper, for example, with our API. So now let's make some more complex filtering. We say now we want to use a different collection, because in this example we want to use filtering through the area of interest. So it's not very clever to use a geo data set. So we are using a Leo. And now we say setting our search parameters. In this case, we are using a bounding box and the start and the end date for the sending time. Let me say to the area of interest, you can not just use the bounding box, you can also use geometries from WKT format. So rectangles or circles or some more complex geometry. It's completely on your own. We have also these examples in our Jupyter notebooks you can use. So let's run the cell to save our parameters. And now we have to request the products in our product variable. And therefore we use the same, like in the simple example above. You can see here, we say select a collection search, but not the first item and the latest item now. Now we are setting our own parameters for the search. So the area of interest, the start and the end date. Let's run the cell, and now let's check how many products are we getting back. So, and here we see we found 7 data sets for the given area of interest and of course the given time. And now we can just run or loop through the products and say we want to have some more details on it. And for example, it's the same like above. We can say product metadata product.satellite or sending start, sending end to get the information from these specific product. And here we can say it's an Leo from the Ayasi instrument, from MeTop-B with sending start and sending end for all the products from our search. So now we want to downloading, of course, our products. To make it easier in this demonstration and don't waste so much time with downloading stuff, I just used one product we are downloading now, but like above, you just can look through the products and downloading any product to a directory, for example. So for now, we say we want to get products to download them, say which product we want from which collection, run the cell, and then we say from the selected products where the download object is stored, we want to download it to our hard storage on our local machine. Of course, you could also use this object now to work with the data in memory, so you don't have to download it as a file on your computer. You can also use most of the data in the memory, depending on your memory, of course. So let's start this download, and you will see here we get the message that the download is finished. And when we are seeing get now in the right directory, we see here that the product is downloaded. So, but what is very interesting for the most of you, I think, because that's the most complex requests you can have for our current APIs, is tailoring products. As I said at the beginning, currently, not all functions for the data tailor API are supported in our library. For example, you can't killing jobs that are running or not finishing. You can't kill them at the moment through the library. So when you are using it, be aware what you are using and if it fits your interest on what you want to do with tailoring. So as we said at the data store API, we also have to initialize the data tailor API. And it's exactly the same. We say data tailor is EUMETSAT.dataTailor, and we give the token with it so the library can do the magic with the token. And now let's see what chains we have on our account based on the product for severity products. So let's take a look on it. Like the collections, this could be look different on your side because you can add your own chains and don't have to look the same like me. Maybe it's much more on your side or maybe much less. As you can see here, I have a lot of testing chains. Hopefully you don't have them also. So, but for now, we want to use a predefined chain. The natural color disk, for example, we can see this chain also in our list. Here is it. This chain is for severity products, which will give you a natural color disk back. So we say that we want this using this chain by reading it to this variable. Then we are creating a new customization with new customization. Say we want to use the latest data, the variable we call before to get the latest product from the RSS collection, I think. And the chain is the natural color chain we defined here. And through calling customization, the customization starts. But what we want to do then, and I will explain it before because sometimes the customization is too fast. And when I finished my explanation, we can't see anymore the process. So I will explain it before. We can also in the customization object there are also different attributes we can call. For example, the status. The status can be done or running or queued, for example. And we can also get the progress. The progress is a value between null and 100, which give you the progress in percentage. And what we want to do now is until the progress is 100, we will call these progress every 2 seconds to get something like a progress, and we can see when it's finished. So let's start the customization and the monitoring of the status and the progress. And we will see the customization is created in this object. And we can see here now the customization is running. The progress is 0%. And now it's run very fast at the end, and the customization is done. So we get back a real progress to follow for the customizations we made. So, but also very interesting for the most of you, I think, are creating own chains. So, and we can do it in exactly the same way like you made it maybe before in YAML, and we can use all the stuff you also can use through the API or through the graphical user interface. So we should give them an ID, a name, a description for which products the chain is and what we want to do with them. For example, compressing, filtering, projection, whatever. And with data tailored chains we are creating this chain. So we run it, it's finished. And now we do exactly the same. Like here, we are just printing all our chains out to take a look if this works, and our chain is created and ready to go for us. So let's check here. Here we can see the chain we created a few seconds ago with a very handy ID. EUMETSAT will make my day. And you can see it runs, it works. And you can now use through the ID this chain to tailoring your own products in the way we've done it here. So for example, we just could paste our new ID here now, and then yeah, make the same and tailor the data through our new created chain. So that's the preview for now. Like I said before, we have a lot of examples here also for the data tailor. Jupyter notebooks you can use to get familiar with our new library, how to use it in very much detail, and with great explanations why it is like it is and how you can use it. So when you have any questions, ideas, or something doesn't work, please get in touch with us through the ops@eumetsat.int. Of course, we have also time now for questions, but yeah, hopefully this will make your life much easier working with our data access services. And we are very appreciate to hear the feedback from you, bugs, and also ideas what you wish for further development and the next releases. So now we could switch to the questions, I think.
Thank you, Nicholas. That was a very, very good walkthrough, some very complicated process you showed. If you can just release your screen back to me, or I can
sure.
Share my screen. Wonderful. There we go. Back to the being able to see everybody. Okay, so we have had a few questions come through, and we had a couple more that came through in the chat as well, which we'll address first. And if there are any other open ones, then people should be free just to drop them in chat, or preferably put them on Slido. So the first question that came through is, the top one here, actually upvoted by me, because I think it's a very good idea, is can you search by cloud cover? Now, currently, the answer is mostly no, but in some cases, yes. Now, the reason it's mostly no is actually the data store itself currently doesn't give you any information on cloud cover as an extracted field. So EUMETSAT could potentially use this information, but it doesn't have the information available to it. That said, if you are working with a product where your cloud mask is in a separate field, so for instance, a separate netcdf file or a separate component within your whole SIPT package, you can choose to use EUMETSAT just to download that one part of your data to perform a local check before you decide if you want to download absolutely everything. I believe, however, this is a very good idea, so I've noted it down as feedback for us to take internally, as I believe there are ways we can potentially use the data tailor to affect this kind of cloud check inside a specific box. So good suggestion and noted for development for the future. Second question, the poll doesn't let us say we're interested in the data access client. It does now. This is an omission by us. This has been fixed. So hopefully you will tick yes, you're very interested. And thirdly, from Carla, did I understand correctly the installation with Conda is still not available? It is not now, it will be very shortly. So currently the EUMETSAT client is in the final stages of release. We plan to release this both as source files and through PyPy and through Conda. So you'll be able to use whatever your chosen flavor of Python is if you choose to work in that way, or just to download it directly from us as the source files if you don't usually use one of these package managers. Now, there were actually, Alexander's question has apparently been solved. Alexander just mentioned me to say that's okay. he was asking whether or not it was 576 or 288 products a day in Nicholas's search. I believe that's related to the fact that the default time per day is 0.00000. So it will only actually by default choose one day when you give it one day and the next day. This is potentially a little bit ambiguous, so I've taken a note that we should maybe clarify what times we use when we use just a date, for example, and don't specify a time. Now that is all the questions that I've got so far, but if anybody would like to add anything, I'd be more than welcome to address it. One thing that I would say is the methodology that Nicholas is shown here replicates what can be done through the GUI. So you can actually use the GUI on the data tailor to build your chains, and then you can export those chains and use those chains to build what you would expect to have through EUMDAC. So you don't need to start from zero. If you've already built a chain and you use it kind of on an ad hoc basis to customize one or two products, you can easily convert that into a chain that you can use in an automated way using either the library and eventually the CLI. Anybody have any other questions they would like to ask either on Slido or in chat? Or I'm not sure if we've allowed you to unmute. If you can unmute and ask away. Okay, then. Well, if not, then look out for future sessions.
We have one question in Slido. Can you search by level of processing?
Yes. So if the level of processing is actually set by the data store itself. So anything you can find as a collection in the data store. And if you go to data.eumetsat.int, this will take you to the data store. The collections themselves are stored by level of processing, which means you can then search them by level of processing and refine by level of processing. So the collection ID will be associated with a given level of processing. Okay, so if that's the last question, then I'll say thank you to everybody for being here and listening and for showing interest in our new tools. The EUMDAC client and the rest of the data services will be undergoing continuous improvements and updates over the next weeks, months, and years. EUMDAC especially, we want to add more functionality to as quickly as we can to wrap the data tailor into the CLI. And then we will take on board the feedback you've given us here to see if we can make some other improvements as to usability. If you, once it's released, if you're using EUMDAC and you want to let us know, please email ops@eumetsat.int. If you've got any feedback, positive or negative, we'll take that on board and discuss that in our internal development meetings, or drop you a line, say thank you very much for using it. Glad you're having a positive experience. Our next data access services meeting will be next month. Keep an eye out for the advertised focus of that one. I am not sure off the top of my head what it's going to be, but it may well be on the next version of EUMDAC, or on tailoring, or on EUMETView, or on collaborating with our data services. Otherwise, I'll say thank you very much to everybody for attending. If you have any last minute thoughts, questions, polls you want to do, we won't close the Slido yet, so by all means, write in there, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you very much.